Hello and welcome to New Jersey Politics with Laura Jones. I am Laura Jones. Today, we're talking about some of the issues facing New Jersey's capital city, that would be Trenton, from crime and blight to self-driving shuttles that may soon roam the city. We're also tackling energy and gas prices across the state of New Jersey, and we're going to be talking to Republican Assemblyman Kevin Rooney, as well as Democratic State Senator Shirley Turner, about their solutions to help lower gas and energy prices. Right now, the mayor of one of New Jersey's largest city, Trenton Mayor Reed Gusciora, he's been serving as mayor since 2018. Before that, the Democrat served in the state assembly for nearly 22 years, representing the state's 15th legislative district. Mayor Reed Gusciora, so good to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Laura, for inviting me on.
Well, I have a very soft spot in my heart for Trenton because it's where I started my career. It's where I've spent most of my professional life. And I see such beauty. Trenton makes the world takes, and it has its share of problems. But overall, how would you say things are going right now in Trenton?
Well, we have 60 parks, and they're opening up again for post-COVID. We just opened up a neighborhood health clinic so that we could have a permanent place to host vaccines and do COVID testing. We're actually starting a street team to go out in the neighborhoods and talk to youth about violence prevention programs. We're hiring mental health counselors to deal with the aftermath of COVID, that many people lost their livelihoods and had great loss in their families. So we're a caring community, and we're trying to pull together, but we're making it, and we're getting by, and we're moving forward.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little bit about, as mayor, you have to work with the city council, and there's some issues going on at city council. The city council president, Kathy McBride, she suspended meetings until April. Their last meeting was on March 3rd. Now, you've issued an executive order to basically keep the city running. So what is going on inside city council?
Well, they have to find a clerk. They're without a clerk right now. He's on extended medical leave, and the business of the city has to keep going. We have a number of projects with the Trenton Waterworks. We service 5 municipalities, so we have to continue to make improvements, and that was part of the executive order. Even buying court supplies so that the court can continue on processing summonses, so there's things we need. COVID supplies we needed to continue our COVID preparation and prevention.
Are you looking for any help from the state?
The state, we are under an MOU with the state, and we're also under an administrative consent order with DEP regarding water issues. We're following all the mandates. We're working hand in hand with DCA, who has provided great financial support for us. So there are people that are willing to work with the city, and we're moving forward in spite of all the challenges.
Well, let's talk a little bit about crime. Crime is an issue in Trenton, and you're taking a little bit of a different approach to fighting violent crime in the city. So can you tell us a little bit about the street team that you're launching and why you think it's going to help?
Well, it had great promise in Newark, and we want to get to the young people to prevent them from joining gangs. We also, in conjunction with the state police, opened a real-time crime center to help us with data and try to prevent crime that way, and also identify criminal elements that much sooner. But mental health counseling to be intervene, and particularly domestic violence and other offenses that police should be focused on other areas of the city. But we hope with mental counselors, mental health counselors, and a street team to go out and talk to the young people would go a great way at long-term crime prevention.
Now, people see Trenton makes the world takes, and back in the day, Trenton, it was the manufacturing headquarters of the world. I mean, you name it, Trenton made it. Manufacturers, they moved out. So, and one of the things the cities have been having to deal with over the past few decades is urban blight, the abandoned, unused properties, and they've been deteriorating. It's these beautiful, beautiful buildings. Now the cities started recently demoing on 2 lots on Hart and North Clinton Avenues, and you've nearly completed a row of abandoned properties on Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, including the famous JoJo's Steakhouse, and that was from the Tony Mack corruption scandal. So what is led to all of these abandoned properties, and what are you hoping to accomplish, or how are you going to be able to demolish and repurpose them? Or are you going to be able to save some of these beautiful, beautiful buildings that were built, so many years ago?
Yeah, it's all of the above. The ones that are completely dilapidated, that can't be saved with collapsed roofs and floors, we're taking them down. We've taken over 200 abandoned properties down. We also invited developers in to take up those spaces. One project that's just coming to fruition is the Vessel project, a modular apartment building on Perry Street, and it's quite striking in the landscape. We have an affordable housing project that we're currently finishing. We're bringing market rate unit properties, apartments downtown. So we've issued about over 1,000 COs, new COs that will bring new people to Trenton, and we hope to bring a lot of the young people that once they graduate college, they'll come here and they'll make Trenton their home.
Well, the train station, the train station renovations that were done a while ago, it looks amazing. And then you've got the River Line that takes you down to Camden. One of the issues also in Trenton, though, is traffic. They've got some deadly intersections, some of the deadliest in the nation. There were 9 fatal crashes at the intersection of Layler and Route 129 from the years 2019. So can you talk a little bit about what you're doing with the infrastructure and traffic and ensuring that you've got what it needs? Not only, if you build these beautiful apartments, will they come? People need safe roads to be able to travel on.
Absolutely, and we're really concerned about that intersection. Unfortunately, it's a conjunction of a state highway and a county road. And once they're coming off the state highway, they forget to slow down. So we're working with DOT. They have some traffic calming devices that they're going to be installing, and we're working closely. Other than that, we're working on potholes and bridges and fixing just the infrastructure itself that will be more accommodating for traffic and visitors alike.
Yeah, 'tis the season for potholes. And this other initiative, it's self-driving shuttles. Tell me a little bit about why the city's interested in it and how it might help the people in Trenton.
Well, we applied for a federal grant and received $5 million, a planning grant to set up a very unique autonomous car, self-driving car demonstration in the capital city. We hope to have 100 autonomous vehicles for this demonstration, but this will be a lifeline to particularly seniors who live in the towers that don't have transportation, that they can go to the drugstore, they can pick up pharmaceuticals, go shopping, and just to have better mobility at cheaper prices. So this is going to be truly a unique demonstration in the United States, and we're really excited that Trenton was chosen as the pilot program.
Well, that sounds really very, very exciting. And Trenton, the crossroads of the American Revolution, so much history there. And we've run out of time, but there's a lot to see and do, especially with the summer coming on. The old barracks, you've got the War Memorial, State House, which has been undergoing renovations. There's a lot of history when you walk and when you go and visit. So, Mayor, thank you so much for talking a little bit about everything that is happening in Trenton and some of the initiatives and what you're doing to continue that work goes on while you're dealing with the issue of the clerk. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Laura. It's a pleasure being here.
Rising energy and gas prices impact just about everything in our lives, from filling up your car, heating and cooling your home, and the price of pretty much every product on store shelves. Republicans say President Biden's green energy policies are driving up prices, while Democrats say it's because of Russia and the war in Ukraine. What most people can agree on is something has to be done to help bring prices down. Our next guest is a Republican who represents New Jersey's 40th legislative district, which covers parts of Bergen, Essex, Morris, and Passaic counties. Assemblyman Kevin Rooney, welcome to the show. Good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Laura.
All right, loaded question though. What's your take on rising energy prices and what's truly causing it?
Look, we have an issue with the Biden administration. We currently had the capability of producing more than 15 million barrels of oil a day. We currently only producing 11 million barrels a day. During the previous administration, we had a net zero. We were actually exporting oil. Currently, we're not doing that. The Biden administration, I understand, wants to look at clean energy and they want to look at a cleaner global economy. But right now, we're not there. In fact, Elon Musk just last week tweeted out that, these times require extraordinary measures. And he actually suggested that we need to produce our own oil and gas. So we're looking at the top person in the world right now speaking on energy, which is Elon Musk. And, it drives his business. And he's saying at this point, we need to do more. The Biden administration needs to wake up.
You're sponsoring a bill that it urges the federal government to approve construction of oil and natural gas pipelines within the United States, including those that have been shut down or have had approval denied. Are we talking about the Keystone Pipeline?
We're talking about the Keystone Pipeline, amongst others. We hear the administration talking about all the leases that are currently out there. But the reality is there's more that we can do. And those leases will take multiple years. We have the opportunity right now, just with a flip of a switch, get our own energy back to where it was just a year and a half ago. Look at, since this administration has taken over, the rising cost. A short memory ago, year and a half ago, we were paying $1.99 for diesel. Now we're paying $5, $5.50, $6 in the state of New Jersey. That's unheard of. We don't need to go back to 2020 prices. We need to go back to 2019 prices. As you said in your opening statement, it affects everyone. It affects the industry right now. The greatest thing is we're seeing hospitality industry that was struggling during the pandemic now being affected by the people that truly need the most help by not being able to go out and spend their money at restaurants.
All right. You said it's as easy as a flip of a switch. Is it really that easy?
It is, with the exception of the Keystone Pipeline. We can get back to producing our own oil, our wells. The allowance should be to increase more. If we took energy completely out of the equation, right now in the United States, we have a 6.6 inflation percentage. That's crazy. We put it back in, we're over 7.5% inflation. It affects not only our restaurant industry, the ability to drive to and from work. Our RV industry will be hurting soon. Our boating industry, travel, we're seeing a rise in cost in the airlines already. I heard that it's average $40 per ticket increase. Again, we just can't afford to do that.
Well, if you can get a flight out, and it's spring break, we know that tourism going down the shore, that is a major driver of New Jersey's economy. It's spring, time is ticking. We're getting close to, one of the biggest drivers of New Jersey's economy, and that's travel and tourism in New Jersey. Do you see light at the end of the tunnel?
At the rate we're going, no. Yes, gas has gone down about 6 cents over the last few weeks. But again, we're not looking at the summer at this point. Could you imagine if we were discussing this issue back in November, when we were facing the cold, long days of winter, and we were going to see an increase, what it would cost to fuel your home with your own natural gas or electricity? Look, we all want a greener, brighter future, not only for ourselves, but our future generations, but we're just not there yet. Look at the issues that we're having with just getting a new car. We can't produce enough superconductors right now for a regular combustion engine vehicle. when we're seeing that, that takes about 300 computer chips. An electric car is somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000 chips. So again, I'm all for a greener economy and future, but we're not there yet. So in the meantime, we need to open up our pipelines. We need to go back to doing what we were doing effectively just a few short years ago. And that's producing more fuel for our own residents, not only in the state of New Jersey, but throughout the entire United States. But then you have the ability to produce more. Look, Europe's always going to rely upon Russia. I believe right now they're somewhere in the neighborhood of about 35% of their total reliance is on Russian oil. I believe Asia's somewhere in the mid 40s. We're only at 1%.
Well, in a letter to New Jersey's congressional delegation, there was a coalition of New Jersey employer groups and trade associations, builders and contractors in New Jersey, and the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce. They voiced their support for American energy independence. So what needs to be done to make that happen, and how will it then impact prices?
We need to have the Biden administration stop listening to the far left. Come back to what he ran on to represent everyone in this country. Stop listening to the far left, go back and produce oil in our own country. Again, we have the ability to be self-reliant. We don't need to rely on other countries at this point. Again, we can look down the road for our electric vehicles, our solar, our wind, but right now we need to do what's in the best interest of not only the residents and businesses of the state of New Jersey, but the country as a whole.
What are your thoughts, briefly, on a gas tax holiday? That idea has been floated out there.
It has been. And again, I guess on a national average, it's about 55 cents. But, we have to look at what that will do to the other industries. If all of a sudden we stop supporting the gas tax, then we have building and trades coming back to us saying, look, there's not enough work. We have heavy highway not being able to do work. Our transportation trust fund goes by the wayside. These are things that we need to look at when we pull the trigger in a different direction. We don't need to do that if the Biden administration allows us to go back to producing what we can do. Again, 15 million barrels a day can be produced right here in the United States. We should be doing that. We should not be importing oil. We should be able to do what we do best, and that's generate an economy that was the strongest in the world. And unfortunately, we become reliant upon other countries. China, Russia, and it's just not okay.
All right. Well, Salim, we thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. Our time is up, but we hope to have you back on again, because you mentioned Transportation Trust Fund, and we could probably do a whole show on New Jersey's Transportation Trust Fund, but we're going to leave it there. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Joining me now, longtime state senator and a Democrat representing New Jersey's 15th legislative district, which covers parts of Mercer and Hunterdon counties, State Senator Shirley Turner. It is so good to see you.
It's great to see you too, Vara.
A lot to talk about. First, I want to talk about gas tax holiday. You have a proposal for a gas tax holiday that would suspend the gas tax for a while and, in theory, bring prices down. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, it's a temporary freeze, and it's really more of a rollback for 60 days. And it's in order to give our consumers, particularly low and middle income earners and senior citizens on a fixed income, a break, some breathing room, because we've seen the cost of gasoline skyrocket over the last few months. And much of that is due to the geopolitical unrest that's taking place in the Ukraine. So we would want to provide our people with some relief, because a disproportionate amount of the people's income, working families' income, is going to pay for gasoline to get back and forth to work, or to take their everyday trips to the doctor's office, or just to grocery stores. And of course, grocery stores have been hit hard too because of the gasoline spike, because transportation costs have really gone up enormously. And this is on top of the inflation. We have the worst inflation now than we've seen in the last 40 years. So it's a double whammy.
So how much relief do you think people would see if this is approved? And do you think it will be approved?
Well, I think we could realistically see 28 cents a gallon, because we're not going to roll it back completely. It would be rolled back to 2016, when our gasoline tax was only 14.5 cents a gallon. And that was when we were the second lowest in the country. But now it's increased to 42.4 cents a gallon. And now we're the fourth highest in the country. And we know that we're coming off of the pandemic, and people have been hit hard in their pocketbooks as a result of that. And this is just going to exacerbate their pain. And it's the low income, the seniors and middle income people who are going to bear the brunt.
New Jersey, we had the lowest gas, and part of your district, literally you can see Pennsylvania on the other side. People from Pennsylvania come to New Jersey to get their to get their gasoline because it was a lot less expensive. But like you said, now that is not the case. Now the gas tax holiday, that would be temporary. Do you have ideas on a fix that would need to happen to bring the energy prices down long term?
Well, the only way to do that is to increase the supply of gasoline that we're importing in this country. And also we'd have to start drilling more gasoline, oil in this country, because it seems as if it's been put on hold because of the Green New Deal. But these are extraordinary times. Nobody knew that we were going to stop importing gasoline from Russia, where we were receiving somewhere around 7 to 10% of their gas. But now with the sanctions, we're not getting the gasoline from Russia. And the president has asked the other oil producing countries like Saudi Arabia, Venezuela, and other foreign countries, but they're not very interested in providing us with more gasoline. So until we can get this global unrest settled, we're going to have to utilize our own resources that we have in the ground and start producing it, because we were at one time energy sufficient. We were independent. We could produce enough gasoline, oil for our own use, and also be able to deport it to other countries as well.
Yeah. Well, I want to switch gears on you to a topic you're passionate about, education. And you know how much students have suffered during the pandemic. And you're sponsoring a bill that would waive the requirement that 11th graders have to pass a new test in order to graduate, and the test measures studies in algebra, geometry, language arts. So can you talk a little bit about waiving this particular test, and it would apply to the class of 2023?
Yes, that's right, because we know we're coming off of the pandemic, and our students have been hurt tremendously in terms of learning loss, because they've been out of the classroom for so long, and they had to rely on remote learning. And some students cannot participate in remote learning because it took so long before the state could provide every child with the necessary computer and connectivity that was required. And students learn better. Studies have shown that students learn better in the classroom with a teacher in front of them rather than having a computer in front of them. So we should not be testing our students additionally at this point in time because of the learning loss. And we need to provide more opportunities for them to catch up for what they lost. And we can't just keep testing because there are so many tests. The students are really overburdened with these tests, and the teachers feel the same way. And the only people who really benefit from all of this testing are the companies that provide the standardized tests. So I joined with Assemblyman Caputo in the Assembly. He introduced the bill in the Assembly, and I introduced his bill in the Senate. And hopefully we can get that passed so that we can help our students get back on track and not overburden them with additional testing, because testing does not really provide a good gauge as to what learning is taking place.
And I think that is one of the biggest frustrations, is you spend 12, 13 years in school, and then all of the pressure is put on a standardized test, an SAT, an ACT, and then during COVID, well, certain schools waived the requirements, other schools didn't. You know, my daughter's a senior this year, so she didn't get the same prep level that she would have if she was in the classroom. And, you know, some schools are requiring it, others aren't. Now they're going to take the essay off. And it really is, it just seems very unfair that there isn't, you know, why we even need the standardized test as opposed to just looking at how the students perform in grades K through 12.
Exactly right. Because like I said, the parents are frustrated, and it just further frustrates the students who have to take these tests. And studies have shown these tests do not really provide a good indication as to what students are capable of and what their intelligence or their material that they've learned.
Yeah, well, I would be happy if they eliminated them. If I'm showing bias there, I would be very happy, because like I said, you know, for the class of 2020, 2021, some did, some didn't. Now with 2022, a lot of them are requiring, and then so we don't know what will happen in 2023. But we thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and we'll have you on another time. We can talk more education.
Thanks a lot. Have a great
Thank you so
day.
much, Senator Turner.
Bye.
Thank you. And we thank you so much for watching this edition of New Jersey Politics. I'm Laura Jones. We'll see you next time.